Hey everyone, I just want to start out this week by thanking every one of you for the birthday wishes. I can't tell you how many kind and thoughtful calls, texts, emails, Facebook messages that I received from you all. I'm still working on getting back to everybody, getting through all of them because there were so many, but I want to thank you for it. It means a lot to me that you took time out of your day to say happy birthday. I really appreciate it. You know, Congress, here in Washington, the most important constitutional duty is to provide for the common defense. And that was exactly what the focus was this week in Washington, D.C. We passed the National Defense Authorization Act to reform, to repair, to rebuild our military. I think it is the number one function of what needs to be accomplished here in terms of our duties. You know, for the past decade, we've been just getting by. We've been cutting resources as the world has become more dangerous and putting off tough choices. This week, we decisively ended that trend. We made some major reforms. Our bill, it increases defense spending to the levels that the Department of Defense have said that they need in order to help our service members keep our country safe. We answered their call. This bill also provides for thousands of additional personnel to counter the depletion of our military under the previous administration. It increases missile defense funding by $2.5 billion to ensure that we can protect our homeland from the threats that are posed by advanced long-range missiles like those that North Korea is developing to threaten the U.S. with. And this was a big piece of my work previously as a bomb technician, a piece of my work during my time with the National Nuclear Security Administration. So I'm very proud about the work that we've done on that front. This bill, it also includes two provisions that I wrote and that I sponsored. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those as well. The first one is one that's very important to me, given some of the things that have occurred in my life, and it's the oath of exit. And the oath of exit, it creates a voluntary separation oath for members of the armed forces aimed at reducing veteran suicide. I've had a lot of friends that throughout my life, they've thought about committing suicide. I've had friends that have succeeded in committing suicide. And I absolutely carry guilt over that. I do. And I've asked those friends of mine that are still here, could I have done something? Is there anything that I could have done when you were going through that? And the answer from them unequivocally was no. And the reason that the answer was no was because they said they never reached out. And it's tough to lose somebody when that's the case. That being said, servicemen and women, I think, have a very special and a very unique level of integrity. And we have an unparalleled sense of duty to our country and to our brothers and our sisters in arms. And I think it's that commitment, the fact that our word is our bond, that allows us to be both the most diverse fighting force on the face of this earth and also the most cohesive fighting unit on the face of this earth. When we say we're going to do something, we do it. And when you look back at any of our lives, I think some of the most important sentiments and things that we carry with us, we make it a point to put those things into word. When we're wed, when we're married, we take a vow. We say our Pledge of Allegiance because it's that important to us. When we enter the military, we take an oath about supporting and defending the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Those of us that have spent time in the military, we know that we learn countless creeds, the Soldier's Creed, and there's the Ranger Creed, and there's the SF Creed, and there's numerous creeds out there that speak to the ethos at which we promise to go out there and conduct our work. And this oath of exit is that important. It's just as important as those other oaths and those other ethoses that we go out there and recognize, because it sets this strong step forward in saying that we're going to do anything and everything that we can to prevent even one more veteran suicide. The bill, It also includes the U.S.-Israel Joint Missile Defense Act, and that's another important one as well. And I led the fight on that one along with one of my counterparts, and it's to further develop the Arrow 3 system. It's a very important system which will help advance America's interests in protecting everything that we have going on over there, and protecting our friends and allies like Israel over there. It's an incredible system, and I'm very proud of the work that we did on that piece as well. You know, I tell folks sometimes, I chose to volunteer alongside the Israeli Defense Forces because there is undoubtedly a benefit in our two countries working together to spread the values of freedom and democracy and human rights for all people, and collaborating on security through missile defense is critical to the stability, not just in the Middle East, but also throughout the world. Getting our bipartisan bill passed as a part of the National Defense Authorization Act, it's a big win, and it's a big win in the fight against terror. So I'm very proud about that one as well. You know, this is just the beginning of our work to ensure that our military is equipped to confront the threats and the challenges of the 21st centuries. And coupled with the last government funding bill that we did, which increased defense spending, improved border security, funded a large military pay raise, and more, we are working hard to undo the damage caused by 8 years of retreating from a leadership role on the global stage. In other news this week, I think there's a few other things that we need to talk about. We also passed 3 bipartisan bills that will help keep our community safe by cracking down on human trafficking. I know this matters to a lot of folks out there. This is a major problem in Florida, and very specifically in South Florida. For many people, human trafficking, it conjures up images of maybe fiction or historical accounts of children in faraway places being sold into slavery. But the reality is that in the last decade, the National Human Trafficking Hotline has received nearly 150,000 reports of human trafficking in the United States alone. The majority of these victims are women, they're children that are being forced into perverse acts like prostitution or forced labor. The bottom line is that human trafficking, it is modern day slavery. That's the best way that I've ever heard it put by anybody. And it's happening in our backyard. Right now, there is no comprehensive system in place to address this human rights crisis. And that is why these bills are so important. And these were the names of them. Number one, you had the Frederick Douglass Trafficking Victims Prevention and Protection Act. I know all the names of these acts are really long, but it provides funding needed to prevent human trafficking, protect victims, and prosecute traffickers to make sure that hopefully it's a racket that they can never get into again. Then there was the Enhancing Detection of Human Trafficking Act, and that one ensures the Department of Labor has the tools that they need to go out there and train their employees to spot human trafficking as it's going on, and then respond immediately to stop that situation. Because let's face it, everybody that's out there in the workforce, they have to be a sensor to what is going on in terms of this fight. And then there was the Empowering Law Enforcement to Fight Sex Trafficking Demand Act. And this one enhances the Department of not the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice grants to local law enforcement agencies so that they can get the resources that they need to help fight sex trafficking. You know, fighting human trafficking, it's been a priority so far for our Congress. Earlier this summer, we passed another 13 bills to help put an end to this modern-day slavery and this sexual exploitation. No single piece of legislation is going to end human trafficking, but every single one of these bills will help to save lives, and it's important. As always, I just want to tell you all this. It's an honor to serve you in Congress. It's an honor to be up here every single day. I always look forward to seeing you all down in the district when I'm back at home, seeing you around events and parades and farmers markets and at the restaurant and at the grocery store and everywhere else, talking to you there. If you see me, hit me up. You know, let me know what you're thinking. I'll look forward to seeing you all around.